if you're in a team and your team is valuing the principle of shared power, you might be using some kind of collective decision-making process or consent-based decision-making. And a question that often comes up with consent-based decision-making is, do we all have to agree? Does it have to be a perfect decision for everyone? And that's an important question, because we want everyone to be on board, and we also want to be effective. We don't want to spend unnecessarily a very long time making decisions. So do we all need to agree? And this is what we're going to explore in this video. Just to say, firstly, in this video, I won't be going into what consent-based decision-making is or when it's used. That is in another video already. And maybe I'll put a link in the description. I do want to say that about more than 20 years ago, when I first began to explore consensus and consent type decision making, and then applied it within a group I was actively involved with, I felt something quite amazing happen. I felt something open up in the group that was very powerful. I would describe it almost like a spiritual experience. Something opened that was bigger than any one person. There was a group mind, a collective intelligence that had been activated. And so I want to name that, because what I'm going to do is name firstly, or go through some principles of consent-based decision-making before then directly trying to answer the question, do we all have to agree? And the first principle or element, we could say, of consent-based decision-making, how I see it, is a need to activate the group mind, a need to activate the collective intelligence of the team, to draw the wisdom that the team collectively brings, that each individual brings. And we can, the difference in the team, the differences, the diversity can be a strength. It can help to inform a wonderful decision. So we want to activate the group mind, and we do this by coming with, and each participant coming with a mind state of not knowing. Because if we already know what the answer is going to be, then we're in a way holding back from opening into something that might reveal what is better than what we can immediately think of by ourselves, yet emerges because we're all together. So we want to have room for something beautiful to emerge. And so this mind frame of not knowing is therefore really helpful, and I would say crucial in that. The other aspect is that it's related, is we don't want to be thinking for ourselves alone. We want to be thinking for what's best for the group as a whole. And so we do want to have awareness of ourselves. So we need some self-awareness, because we do need to have some sense of where our preference is, but we want to hold on to that lightly. So there's this phenomenon called our zone of preference, what we would prefer. And we hold on to that lightly. And what we want to open up to is our zone of acceptance, or some might say zone of tolerance. But I think zone of acceptance is more delightful. So we want to open up into our zone of acceptance. And there's something here about the relational. We want it to be, because it's not just about ourselves. We're in relationship with others, and that's beautiful. It's beautiful to be in relationship with others, to listen, to welcome other human beings, and for everyone to be included, and therefore for us to be included and welcomed by other human beings as well. That's a beautiful experience. One of the other elements in consent-based decision-making, certainly in sociocracy, which incorporates consent-based decision making and something I value. So one of the other elements is that everyone's choosing not to object. That's when you have consent. So we have the power to object, but we're not objecting to the decision. To the proposal. And objection can be framed in terms of the criteria as to why someone may object. There's a school of sociocracy 3.0 that I think frames this really well, and I'm going to paraphrase, is an individual might object because they see that the proposal is going to impede the team from reaching something it's aiming for. So there needs to be some clarity already about what the team is aiming for. And if that proposal is going to impede the team from reaching the aim, then that's a reason to object. Another reason might be if the proposal might lead to unintended harm of some kind, whether within the team or beyond the team. That's a reason to object. Or maybe it's worthwhile us putting in time to come up with a better proposal. If we've got the time, it may be worthwhile putting that time in. So that could be a reason to object to the existing proposal. And so how good does the proposal need to be? In sociocracy, there's this mantra, good enough for now, safe enough to try, i.e. it doesn't have to be perfect. We're in a dynamic situation, so is it good enough for now? Is it safe enough to try? And the other element I'll mention is feedback systems. That for any decision, we don't just want to make the decision and then, leave it to run forever. We want to be reviewing it. So we want to be evaluating it. We want to be getting feedback on the impact of that decision. So feedback systems is very much integral to sociocracy and also to permaculture, which is a design approach based on how nature works. Nature's got feedback systems all over the place. So we want to incorporate feedback into our decision making, into our teams, so that we can be responsive to what is emerging, what is occurring, and be very tuned in to the landscape of what's going on. So with consent-based decision making, back to the original question, do we all need to agree? In a sense, yes, because we're all consenting, we're not objecting. In a way, no, because it doesn't have to be a perfect decision. Good enough for now, safe enough to try. So like many things, it's not a simplistic answer. It really depends what we mean by agree. But the question is good because it allows us to explore what consent really is and how we can have a team that works with distributed power, with shared power, that uses consent-based decision making and includes the team, the members in decision making while also being effective. So it allows us to explore the qualities of what gives rise to that. And so I hope I've given some clarity as to consent-based decision making and do we all need to agree. If you have any questions or comments, please do drop them into the comments. I'd love to hear and I'll try and respond. And if you appreciated this video, please do give it a like. And if you'd like more insights and explorations on individual and collective liberation, please do follow, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.